Hello Gemini, welcome to your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect with each of these cards, okay? And use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. Okay. Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here we have some high priestess energy to start us off. That's really good energy. I like that we're starting with the high priestess. I think that will give us a nice kind of focal point for the reading, you know. We're going to do our Dove and Serpent spread, and as I do this, I want to also say that if there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments. Okay. Continuing with our Dove and Serpent spread here. Not too bad. We're going to do our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. And this is the card we're going to set it aside. We're not going to look at it until the very end. And hopefully that will tie everything together and give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. Okay. So we've got just a couple of major arcana. We've got some court cards. We've got air and water, some more water, some fire, air, earth, court card, and water. So it seems fairly balanced. It seems like it's a nice kind of equalized amount of energy, right? Everything seems to be existing with its counterpart, you could say. But we'll get into all of this. The first card, though, is that High Priestess energy. I think you're someone with a very strong spiritual connection. I think this, probably for the next 7 days of your life, let's say, you're going to be feeling an intense connection with spirit, unlike anything that you've experienced before, okay? I think you generally have a strong connection. You've probably had many instances in your life where you have had experiences of a divine nature, let's say. I was going to say paranormal or supernatural, but I don't really think it's supernatural, you know? I think it's completely natural, but I think a lot of us have so much else going on in our lives, so much other energy flooding our minds and our hearts and our spirits day after day, that we lose touch with that connection. We lose touch with the divine world, the spiritual world. Okay. I think you've had a lot of experiences with the divine. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you've probably had some kind of interaction or contact, maybe communion or communication with divine entities, maybe angels, divine spirits, however you want to classify them. I'm really feeling a spiritual connection here, and I think that you have a lot of very personal experience with this. Now, some may be more subtle. Some experiences may be just more kind of in your face, you know. And this is very personal for me, too, because through my health issues that I've had in the past, 10 years ago, I had to have a liver transplant. I was in a coma. I had organ failure in almost every organ, except for my heart. And I had some experiences with the divine during that time. Now, maybe I'll elaborate on that a little bit more in the future, but I feel that I've had what I could only call as an encounter with, for lack of a better term, an angel, right? And it was not of a supernatural nature. It wasn't a ghost or an apparition or a poltergeist or anything like that. It was something that provided a tremendous amount of warmth and comfort. It was a presence that almost made me want to just kind of burst out in laughter, because it was such a joyous, such a heartwarming presence, right? And I feel like that initial contact was just the brush of the wings, right? And it was such an impactful experience for me. Anyway, I feel like you've had similar experiences. I think that you're very open to divine communication, to messages from the spirit world. Now, what is the message that's coming this week? I don't know. We'll see if we can get a little bit of some details here, but generally, with the priestess card, you have a very intense connection with the spirit world. I think in the next 7 days, you're going to see that connection is even more intensified than usual. Okay? And I think you've always been one to receive messages, to be open. You're not frightened of this. It's something that seems very natural to you. You maybe even come from quite a long line of people, of ancestors who have this strong connection as well. Again, I think everybody has the connection. Just in some, it's stronger than others because of everything else that we have kind of, clouding that connection, getting in the way of that connection. So it's not anything new for you, but it's going to be intensified, I think, for the next 7 days. From whenever you're watching this, too, it's not as specific of a time frame. Okay, whenever you're watching this, 7 days, I think, is going to be a really strong spiritual connection, and I think it's involving 2 feminine energy persons that we have represented by these 2 court cards. We have an air and a water sign. I believe that these are their solar signs. And I think the air person is a little bit older, relatively speaking, than this water sign. Okay, this could be a parent to a child relationship. It could be an older and a younger sibling. It could be, anything where there is the dynamic that might exist between an older family member and a relatively younger family member. Okay. And I say family member, this could be your blood family, could be your chosen family, could be your work family. Okay. As of right now, I don't know where exactly this energy is going to be manifesting. It feels to me like it's family. Okay. And these two here, now, we see the one in the recent past. Okay. And the recent past could be indicating that this person is no longer with us. Okay. It could be that they have already ascended to a higher plane. Okay. Now, it's not completely certain that these are, in fact, their solar signs. Okay. This could be the method by which we are communicating. Okay. Now, I say that a lot in these readings. Just because we have a court card of a certain element doesn't mean that is the person's, sun sign or their moon sign or their rising sign even. It could be, and it most likely is, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. The importance here is the dynamic between the older family member, loved one, who I think has transcended the earth plane. But there is a message for the younger, we'll say water sign person. And this message is, I think, what is coming through the mediumship of your energy, of your mind, of your intuition. Okay? I think that there is something that needs to be revealed to you by this older loved one, we'll call the older air sign person. There is a message that needs to come through you, because these 2 cards, however we want to place these down, doesn't matter. They're in the horizontal plane of the path of the dove. That message is coming through this priestess energy. So I think that's why you're feeling this intensified spiritual connection this week, for the next 7 days. Because there is an important message for this younger water sign person. Okay. And this 3 of Wands that we see crossing the priestess, this is your interpretation of the message, right? How are you going to understand this message? How are you going to translate it from the spirit realm to this water sign, this younger loved one? Okay. You're really going to have to try to, as much as possible, put your own feelings aside on this one. You know, it feels like you have a very strong character. You know, I think that you have a very positive outlook about life, but you're also no fool. Okay, you try to remain unbiased. And when this information is flowing through you with this divine connection, I think that you are going to have to rely on your strength of character, your own kind of moral compass, your ethics, your personal code, right? Now, I don't know what this message is. It feels that it's of a very emotional nature. And I think that the 3 of Wands here is saying that, look, you have to strengthen yourself against the tremendous water, right? We see a lot of water, a lot of heaviness in this next 7 days. We see water at the top. We see this death card, which is Pisces, which is water. We see this the 8 of Cups, more water, and it's all kind of weighing on this younger water sign person. Okay. But we have this fire, and this fire is you, and I think that this fire, and also the 5 of Wands here, this is you, and that's more fire. I think this fire is really you trying to remain somewhat unattached from the message, trying to use this spiritual fire that you have, this strength and power, in order to not be completely inundated, flooded by this water energy, by the emotionality of this message. Okay? Because the water and the fire, they don't get along, right? Water and fire have the tendency, if they're not mixing and producing steam, which I think they are a little bit. If we allow that to happen, we do get some steam here, and this is the 3 of Swords. I think that's the steam that we get over here. But if we're able to keep that watery energy in place and channel it in the correct way in order to be the conduit for that message to this younger water sign person, then we can avoid ourselves being overcome and for this to just be kind of like a negative message. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of these kind of heavy and dark, watery cards here that I think it's a heavy message, but I think with your fire energy, with your spirit, your confidence, and your objectivity, perhaps, you're able to kind of deal with this in a very responsible way. You know, you're able to filter this message in such a way that when you do relay the information, it's going to be in a positive, constructive, loving kind of way, and it's not going to be so overwhelming. Does that make sense? This is a very, very difficult message for me to interpret. Okay. But with the fire versus the water energy, it really is something that we kind of need to stand up to it. Right? You need to be willing to listen to it all, to take it all in. But you have this fiery energy that's protecting you from being overwhelmed by it. And then it's also enabling you to skillfully conduct that water energy to its intended recipient, right? To this younger water sign person. What is the message about? That's the That is the very kind of important question. We're going to go to this death card that's down here at the bottom. Now, let's not be overwhelmed by the death energy. There is a transformation that is taking place. And I think that the transformation is between you and this younger water sign person. Maybe this is your younger sibling. Maybe it's your child, son or daughter, or a younger relative or a younger friend or a loved one, right? There is something that needs to be renewed in the relationship between you and this water sign person. There is maybe a starting over that needs to take place. It's almost like a grieving and a release from something so that the relationship can grow again, can be repaired. Okay, I don't think it has much to do with the air sign person. I think they're the ones transmitting this message. But I don't think it involves them directly. Do you know what I mean? If it does, it would be in the way that you can interpret your relationship with that older ascended air sign person, okay, who is no longer with us, I think, for some time. And it could be that you've been getting messages from this person for a long time, from, the other side. It could be that your relationship, the dynamic of your relationship with that air sign person, if that was a parental figure, if it was a grandparent, if it was, an older relative, okay? Your relationship with them, understanding the dynamic and how that relationship was, should give you an idea of how this transformation with this increase of character, trying to do things the right way. It should give you a clue as to how your current relationship with this younger water sign person needs to change. Right? Whatever was the trouble with your relationship with this air sign person, that's something that you need to take into account when you are interacting with this younger water sign person. Does that make sense? Because I feel like there was something between you and the air sign person, kind of represented by this Four of Cups. There was some kind of closure or healing. There was some kind of a cleansing that never took place. Okay? There was some issues or some loose ends that really never got dealt with. Some emotions that never got expressed, so there was never any resolution there. So I feel like this is a reading that's wanting you to focus on the past, but Spirit wants you to learn from the past. Learn from what maybe the regrets, maybe what the dynamic, what the experience was for you in the past with this air sign person. Learn from that. Use that to perhaps improve the relationship that you have with the water sign person, the young water sign person. This is a new-ish, new relationship, right? So it's a younger person, younger family member. I'm kind of getting a maternal energy and then like a daughter energy, okay? And I think that these traumas, perhaps these emotional issues, these emotional, topics that weren't dealt with in the past can now be in some ways redeemed in your relationship with the water sign person, because we can make sure that we're not passing this on to the next generation, right? That it stops with us, that we're ensuring that we're kind of rectifying this as we go forward, right? So Spirit is asking you to remember these details of the past in order to in order to, I was going to say fix them in the future, but maybe just prevent them from becoming a problem, right? We have to learn from the past, or otherwise we're doomed to repeat it, right? That sort of thing. And I think that's what this death card is representing. We don't want to make the same mistakes that perhaps our parents made with us, right? So we are learning from the past. We are opening our eyes, and we are being vulnerable and accepting, and we're open to hearing the message, even though it's not very pleasant memories. We don't want to think about that, right? But we're open to it because we have that 3 of Wands that's fortifying us. So we're solid. We're protected against the being overwhelmed by this water. But we're ready for it because we need it. We need to feel it. We need to hear it and see it and experience it so that we can learn from it and we can grow our own life in the future with this water energy taken care of so that we're not repeating the same things. Okay? And I think that's the message that Spirit is trying to send you. The next 7 days, be very open to these messages, to these experiences, to these memories and things too. Now, we're going to go to the path of the serpent. Okay? Because over here, I think, is the real, the timeline, so to speak. This was kind of the bundle of energy that we're dealing with. And this is, I think, how it could play out. Okay. First, we have the 5 of Wands. This is your real strength, real power, fortification. You're able to, protect yourself against being overwhelmed by this flood of emotional water, memories, right? Reflections. But if we were to falter in this a little bit, if we were not to have our spiritual force field activated, that fire and that water are going to mix and mingle, and it's going to create steam. 3 of swords, air energy. The fire and the water. If you allow them to mix and mingle, this is what we're going to get. And this is, I feel, us getting stuck in the past, right? The Spirit's kind of asking you to travel to the past a little bit, to remember the dynamic that was between you and this air sign person, this older, perhaps a maternal energy person. To be there again, to remember what that felt like, to remember the details. But we don't want to get stuck there. If we lose our shields, if our force field is down, if we have any kind of a break in our spiritual defenses, we could get stuck in that memory, in that past. Okay? And this is a very painful experience. This is almost re-traumatizing ourselves over and over and over again because we're stuck in that time loop in the past, right? So this is a very important thing to keep in mind, and the reason why we need the fire energy. Okay? These are the 2 fire cards here, and we need those. Maybe this is going to be some more fire. I don't know. This is a very intense one. Now the next card. I like the next card because this is kind of a grounding card. This is a Knight of Discs. I like this one. This makes me feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more anchored. This is part of your concern too. That being the only Earth card in the reading today, we want to make sure that we keep this one in mind too. We need to stay grounded. Okay? I think too often we get carried away by these divine messages, by being open to this spiritual connection. We could get lost in that. Right? We could. Just the way we could get lost in all of this water energy, so we need the fire. Right? We can also get lost in all of this spiritual, kind of heavenly energy, so we need the earth. Okay? I hope this is resonating with you. I think this is an important message for you, Gemini. We need to stay grounded, and this can be done by way of your physical rituals and routines, your exercise, your diet, the routines that you have in your life, the spiritual routines too, like your prayers, your rituals, the burning of incense, which to me is a very magical experience. Now, I kind of regret that I've stopped burning incense during these readings. I was consuming so much of it that I kind of got lost in that, right? So I've taken a little bit of a break from the incense smoke. But it's a very important part of these kind of grounding rituals because it activates the senses, right? We can hear the crackle of the flame as it lights the incense. We can see the smoke. We can smell it. We can put our hands through it. We can feel it. So it's a very grounding thing. Okay, very cleansing and very grounding. I think this is also simple things, going to work, making sure you're paying your bills. Because we are so immersed for the next 7 days, so immersed in this spiritual world, and this very important and enlightening experience that you're undergoing, we need to be extra sure that we still wake up in the morning, brush our teeth, go to work, do the daily things, right? Weed the garden, wash the windows, that sort of thing. It's a very grounding thing, and this is a grounding not only of your body, but of your mind and your soul and your heart and all of it. Be in the moment. When you're washing dishes, be in the washing of the dishes, right? Feel the warmth of the water. Smell the soap. What does your soap smell like? I personally like the lemon-scented stuff. You can hear the water. You can see the bubbles in the soap. You can feel the motion of your sponge or your scrubber brush thing, whatever you use. So being immersed in your physical body, right? Being fully present is a great counterbalance to some of this divine spiritual energy that we're going to be opening ourselves up to. Okay? And anytime you open yourself, you're vulnerable, right? Whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. When you're open, that's when you're vulnerable. The end of the path of the serpent, the kind of projected outcome, is this 8 of Cups, more of the water energy. Now, this is usually talking about a lack of heart, about a disheartening experience. The water's draining from our cups and we're just kind of slumping over. In this case, this is a little bit different. I think this is you stopping the flow of that water from generation to generation. Like I said, it stops with you, right? So the water that has been flowing through your ancestral line, let's say, is going to stop with you. You're closing the tap on that particular form of energy. And I think that's exactly what Spirit is trying to tell you, what exactly is the message coming through from this. This is an ancestor. This is an older, could be a maternal figure, could be grandma, could be great grandma. Okay? But we are putting a stop to that energy. So this is like the physical motion. This is like literally turning off the water. And you can see that once the water that's currently in the system drains out, there's no more of that. Okay? And this is that particularly toxic, traumatic water that we've been talking about. Whatever this detail is, and I don't know, I don't need to know. This is the projected outcome for you, right? Is that you're stopping that. You're stopping the flow of that. I think that's very important for your relationship, not only for future generations, but in your immediate relationship with this younger water sign person. So I think this is a very positive card. Okay. It's a very emotional card. It's not a necessarily happy card. But this is the positive action. That's the necessary action taking place, right? Let's go to the mystery card now. The mystery card, I'm feeling a little bit more of the fire energy, but something like a Six of Wands, you know. An Ace of Wands would be good, but I'm kind of feeling a 6 here. I think a 6 would be very appropriate with the rest of these cards. But let's find out what this is. Not a 6, but it's a 7. Okay, I was close, right? Horseshoes and hand grenades. The 7 of Wands, the confirmation here is that, yes, you're going to, in some ways, we've attained the 6 of Wands, right? We've attained victory. We've accomplished the stopping of this water, this generational thing. But on the other hand, our work is not done yet, right? It's kind of like we're fluctuating between victory and success, and we're being kind of overwhelmed by it. We have to push back. This is the 7 of Wands. It's about pushing back. Even with something as powerful as this generational thing, as this just really intense, emotional, spiritual force, we have to push back, right? This is kind of the energy that says you would do anything to protect this water sign person, this younger water sign person. I'm getting emotional because I'm feeling this in my own life in terms of my daughter, right? My relationship with my ancestors and my relationship with my daughter, okay? So I'm putting myself in this position with you. And this is the card that says there's nothing that you wouldn't do to protect this water sign person. And I think that we will achieve the victory in this situation, but it's not just one victory and you're done. Forget about it. No, this is something that you have to be victorious every day. It's almost as if every moment is a victory if you are stopping that water energy, right? If you're not passing on this, what I'm come to be considering this generational trauma kind of thing. Every moment that we're not passing that on is a victory. But it's a constant attentiveness. We have to be vigilant about it. Okay? I think this was a very positive reading for you, Gemini, and I'm sorry that it was so heavy and serious. But whenever you happen to be watching this, please give it 7 days, okay? And see if you can open yourself up to this message from this priestess. You are the priestess energy. It's not gender specific. You are this energy. And you are receiving the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding that you need in order to to turn off the tap for whatever this represents. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and shift over to the extended reading. If you want to stick around, you can click on the link that's right up here. You'll have access to all of the extendeds. Okay? This was your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. Thank you so much for letting me read for you.